there is such a thing as eating too much protein.
You can have all the muscles in the world, but then you got acne all over the place, and that ain't good either.
So not just focusing on this
Absolutely.
number for this age group.
Prescribed protein that you need, but essentially if you're just sitting on the couch and you're just on your desk for 8 hours and 6 days a week, then
I'm here today with Don, who is a fitness trainer, and we are going to talk about protein. But before we do that, Don, I do want you to give a more detailed introduction for yourself.
okay, so I've been in the fitness industry for over 5 to 6 years. I work with men who are in middle age and women that are like in their middle age and towards their later premenopausal stages. And my work basically involves a lot around protein and how we use protein to build muscles for me and my clients. What I wanted to actually talk to you about is your point of view on using protein to build muscles, and what's your view on that?
Yeah, I'm glad we're having this discussion because I think that there's a lot of confusion about protein, how much to take, when to take, how to take, protein powder versus like whole foods. But I will say that we can all agree that protein helps build muscle. But where I think the difference in opinion is, or maybe in how people understand protein, is that you can't sit on a couch and just keep eating protein
Absolutely.
bars. And then, of course, everyone says, well, yeah, of course, I know that. And I know that if I eat a lot of protein, I also have to do a lot of strength training, which is true. But what a lot of people don't realize is that there is such a thing as eating too much protein as well. And I don't know if you believe in too much protein being a problem.
I think so. I mean, there's a thing called proteinuria, which actually takes in the protein that if you don't metabolize your protein, it goes into your bloodstream, and essentially it actually manifests into your urine even.
Well, that's one side effect of too much protein. And then the other is that if you take more protein than you need for building muscles, your body's just going to convert it and store it into our favorite form of storage, fat.
Fats, exactly.
It is one of those fairly misunderstood nutritional elements that I think a lot of people know enough about to know it's important, but not enough to know how to do it.
Right.
Now, in your training programs, how do you assess how much protein someone needs?
I think for me anyway, as a fitness professional, you look at their weight, you look at how much protein that they're actually eating, and it could be 1.2 to 1.25 per kilograms. That's what I usually prescribe to my clients. So based on that, we look at other things like their lifestyle, and at the same time their PAL, which is your physical activity level on a day-to-day basis. Because as you said, prescribed protein that you need, but essentially if you're just sitting on the couch and you're just on your desk for 8 hours and 6 days a week, then
that's true. It's not going to do it.
ain't gonna do it.
Yes, that's right. The other thing that is really hard is the quality of protein that people get. Sometimes people can get really, really dependent on protein powders because I get it. It's really convenient. And I'm also a culprit when it comes to that because I'm always keeping in my head, how much protein have I taken today? And it's a challenge. You have to be conscious of it. And protein powders and bars are easy to use.
It's for the convenience, right?
They're very convenient. But one of the challenges actually that I see in my practice is younger men generally take a ton of protein in the form of protein powders, and then they start breaking out. So, so that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is protein powders generally are made of whey protein, which is a very nice dense protein source, but it is a form of dairy. So, just being conscious of how much you're taking in is important because dairy is linked to acne breakouts.
Wow.
What are your suggestions on, how to take in protein powders if you had to? Do you tell your client just mix it with water or almond
Mix
milk?
it with water, absolutely. My personal preference anyway is always water-based, and at the same time, take it with something that actually gives you a little bit of a taste, whether it be an espresso or a latte or something like that.
That's nice.
So
yeah.
it doesn't, as you said, I think, having lactose on lactose is not a good thing. And as you were saying just there that, having too much dairy in protein powders also leads into acne and irritations of your skin health, and which is not a good thing. It's essentially, that's not what we do. You can have all the muscles in the world, but then you got acne all over the place, and that ain't good either, right?
You said it right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's true. It's true. And then the other thing is that acne leads to acne scarring. So
Right.
there's impact on it.
Right.
Don, what is the greatest challenge you see in your clients when it comes to protein intake?
So what I see from my clients is that getting the quality protein that they have, especially the type of job that they're having, of course. So majority of my clients are senior executives, high-profile professionals that are very in that, I wouldn't say a high-stress environment, but yeah, they have responsibilities in their work. And majority of the time, they can get preoccupied with their job that they tend to forget eating. And it creates this cycle whereby they would actually revert back into these ready-to-drink proteins, and they go back into the protein bars. And this cycle then forms, and then all of a sudden you realize that your skin is not good. You have bloating and right. So now what I always say to them is focus on high density snacks that you can actually focus on keeping your energy level at least and your blood sugar level towards the end of the day until you can get
Like a
high
proper
quality
meal
food.
in?
Exactly. And leading up to that as well, the way that you would work out and how you would eat, of course, differs. So at the end of the day, would it be end of the day or start of the day?
Oh, when your workout
When you're
timings.
working out, yeah, because essentially how you would fuel your body essentially is crucial how you do it. So for example, if you're doing cardio-based sessions, for example, it's ideally, in my opinion, you'd start it at the start of the day, right? Because you're nice and fresh and you're able to actually do it. However, when you're going into strength-based exercises, your big lifts, your compounds, I would rather go to it at the end of the day. Reason being, so at the start of the day, whatever cardio, what kind of cardio that you're doing, whether it be LISs, whether it be HIIT exercises, essentially you would need, majority of the time, you would actually need more carbs into that.
Okay.
Glycogen, blood sugar.
Okay, yeah,
everything
okay,
else,
because
it's not-
that's what you're utilizing
Exactly,
at the time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas towards the later part of the day, then you would actually need more calories to be able to deal with the stress that you're putting into your body because you're more weight based. So essentially, I would say cardio at the start of the day, and then you have your big, heavy weight-based training toward the later part of the day. Why? Because now you have your breakfast, you have your snack, or if you're snacking.
Oh, so you've sort of accumulated enough fuel for it.
So at the end of the day, when you're doing your big lifts, then you have the fuel to actually push. Then that makes the workout even more effective because you can actually push more.
True,
with
true.
the fuel
Yeah,
that
I've
have.
noticed that as well.
Yeah.
I can never lift at the beginning of the day because it would be very difficult for me to eat enough in the morning to go into an early morning workout.
Absolutely.
But so I'm more of an evening exerciser.
Yeah.
But I've always wondered. Question for you.
Right.
So I've read that, and I don't know the scientific answer to this. That's why I'm going to rely on your experience because it is very. I think it is pretty controversial.
Okay.
Should you eat protein in a period of time, so like within 30 minutes of lifting or 1 hour of lifting? And is it different for men and women?
Yeah.
Or is this all just a myth?
This all eating window thing, this whole
Yes.
window of eating, I honestly, it's very controversial. I don't believe
Okay, you don't
in
subscribe
it.
to it.
I don't believe in it.
Yeah, because it's actually very impractical
Yeah.
because if you are going to leave the gym and you have 30 minutes to eat your protein, how are you going to eat a whole meal at the gym? You can't.
You can't. And at the end of the day, you have to take into account as well the sustainability and being realistic in the approach. You can't, there's no one size fits all, right? Just like in fitness, you need to make it work in a way whereby it works for your lifestyle. Because it's supposed to add value to your lifestyle, not stress you into your lifestyle.
That is
so
very true.
the way that I actually see it, instead of looking at it from a protein perspective, in the sense of like, I need to eat my protein in that protein window. No, I look at it from how much protein that I eat all throughout the day, and then I can take into account, okay, how much protein shake can I, how many scoops of protein shake can I actually put in my shake then?
And does your protein requirement change as you go through like menopause or even andropause for men, which is like the men's version of menopause? For me anyway, in terms of protein intake, I always keep it high. You start of your training, and from an early age towards the later part of life, of course, you approach training in a different way. Because when me growing up, of course, I was just focused on like, I want to lift as much as heavy as I can. I want to get as big as I can, right? And this is majority of the time what most men and most people want. The heavier, the better, which is great. This is great. There's nothing wrong with that. You need to be able to strive for it. But as you go throughout your training journey, you realize that mobility is important. Your sleep is important. Hydration is important. The timing of protein is important. The type of protein is important, and how it actually. So all these factors kind of come in together, and so not just focusing on this number for this age group and all is really a practical way to look at it.
Exactly. Because I mean, when we look at it from an overall perspective, it's more, how do I say, it's more relatable for certain people, rather than just like, okay, you're in that age now, so you got to actually eat this type of protein. Well, you know, I'm in this age, but I'm so good. You know, I'm maybe premenopausal, but I'm so good. You know, so it's, as I said, there's no one size fits all. Having this information obviously plays a big part, but it's what you do with that information to really put it into your lifestyle, essentially. So,
well, thank you so much. You know, you cleared up a lot of misconceptions for me as well, because even when it comes to clinical studies and you know, scientifically backed information, a lot of it contradicts itself, and it can be very confusing. So for selfish reasons, I'm so glad that we had our chat today. Do you have any questions for me before we close up?
I wanted to ask you, does protein help with skin health?
That's a good question. Actually, it does, but when I say protein, I'm specifically referring to a type of collagen. So there are a lot of collagen powders out there as well, and I actually really support the use of collagen powder. But what a lot of people don't realize is that there are different types of collagen or subtypes of collagen within those collagen powders. So there is a collagen protein called Verisol. That's its actual name. And it is directly linked with improving skin health and collagen synthesis in your skin, so helping you make new collagen. So if you are going to take a protein for skin health, look at the label in the back, and it has to have Verisol in it, and then it will help you with your skin health. But if it's just sort of a general blend of collagens in a collagen powder, you might get some Verisol in it, but it's not going to be enough to have a direct impact on skin. So yes, it does. You just have to, you know, take a specific kind.
Right. Okay. And what would be the best way to take collagen?
Powder. Collagen pills are just, you know, you can get them in capsules and pill form.
Yes.
And you would have to take a ton of them, like 30,
Whoa.
to just get the right dose of collagen. And that can actually really disrupt
Upset the
your
stomach.
stomach.
Yeah, of course.
So collagen powders are better absorbed, and you can really take them in any kind of, in your coffee or your juice, or I take mine in, like, I make a mixture of like warm water with lemon and collagen powder. Usually they're tasteless, so it seems to work well for me.
You wouldn't even know it's there. Yeah.
I didn't even know. Yeah, it just helps me hydrate. But pills, no.
No, pills, no.
No,
Okay.
you're gonna need a ton of them.
No to pills. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, and I learned a lot from today.
No, same here. Thank you.
Thank you.